Good morning and welcome to today's webinar. This is our final webinar for the year, and I think it's quite a good topic for us to finish on. Aged care recruitment, retention has been, a major issue for the sector. It still is, obviously. And this webinar is probably the first one we've done where we're really trying to hone in on some of the solutions that the sector can use to improve employment outcomes. And today's presenter is somebody that you would have read about if you're a regular reader, that is, on Inside Aging. Marlene Gallagher is the product manager and support for CareSource, who produced the Care Friends app that helps aged care providers leverage their in-house networks and also improve their recruitment outcomes. And the Care Friends app won our Future of Aging Awards this year. And that for that reason, we thought who better to get along to this recruitment session than Marlene, who can share a little bit of the learning behind their product. But the session was not necessarily designed to explain the product, but more some of the wisdom that they've used and that any aged care recruiter can use in their own business. So I might, as I said, Marlene's on the line now. So welcome, Marlene.
Thank you, Sean.
I'll just finish up. This is a live session. As you can see, you can ask questions at any time. So just type those into the bottom of the screen. So Marlene, I might pass on to you now to share all those secrets that people can use to improve their business outcomes.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Sean. And thanks for the introduction. I've already started sharing my screen. I hope that seems to be working. So yes, I'm Marlene and I head up the product and support teams of CareSource. I have a strong background in human resources, recruitment psychology, and change management, and I've been using this foundation to help providers in the care sector improve their recruitment and screening process via our psychometric assessment tool, but also, more importantly, our employee referral app, Care Friends, which, as mentioned by Sean, recently won one of the Future of Aging Awards. So I'm actually also a mum and an exercise fanatic, and I have a weird interest in new technology. And as a result of this, I've been exploring AI apps. And you'll see the results of these explorations throughout this presentation via AI-generated images. But be warned, the more you look at these images, the weirder they become. Oh, and if you're wondering where my accent is from, I will tell you at the end. Just wondering if you're seeing this top screen. I'm not sure.
Yes, I can see that, Marlene. Thank you.
Okay, should be better now. So maybe you were there too, but I recently attended the ECPA conference in Adelaide as a delegate where I learned of new innovations and brought back lots of goodies for my kids, but I didn't expect to end up in tears by many of the inspirational talks. Besides needing the tissues and extra bags for all those giveaways, the issues regarding workforce remained despite the general, the feeling is a bit more positive in the sector. So although there are many workforce issues, one that keeps on being a challenge is the sheer desperation for care staff. There are just not enough people, let alone nurses or care staff in regional and remote places. So today I want to dive straight into the sourcing part of recruitment because good candidate sourcing is one of the many things that we can do to tackle the workforce issues. Let's have a look at some basic theory around talent. Let's say that there are 3 levels of talent. So you've got your A-level talent, which are your star employees, those that you'd love to clone if you could. Then there's your B-level talent, who will turn into excellent and valuable employees. And lastly, there's your C-level talent. These are employees who just do the job, nothing extra. So these 3 types of talent have different options when it comes to choosing an employer, as well as different processes on how they select their future employer. Lastly, they also differ in their motivation for wanting to work for you. So your A and your B level talent can be picky. They will be picky. They will listen to feedback from others. They will read reviews. They will do their research. They're already often in a job and considered passive job seekers. Your C level talent often hangs out on job boards and they love the easy apply button. They take the job offered to them and are more likely to be active job seekers. So your organization's recruitment sourcing mix affects the likelihood of targeting A, B, or C level talent. And if you're solely focusing on active job seekers, you're more likely to end up with more C level talent, whereas you need a different message via different channels to target A and B level talent. And most of you would understand the importance of having a balanced recruitment sourcing mix, which possibly looks a little bit like this, and includes not only targeting active candidates, your C-level talent, which in this donut chart is represented in yellow via online job boards, your careers websites, but also passive candidates here in green, including via employee referrals and tapping into your local community networks. So in my job, I'm in regular contact with recruitment teams and always interested to hear about their challenges and learn of their solutions. I often ask recruiters, what is your most used source of candidates? And 9 out of 10 times they will answer with Seek or another online job board. And so if I were to adapt this sourcing mix based on what I hear from clients, it would look a little bit like this. So it's a bit more lopsided and towards your active job seekers via online job boards. But have you ever asked yourself, which recruitment source gives me eventually the best employees? Where do my star care workers come from, that A and B level talent? So we did actually ask that question, and even better, we asked that question to 295 care managers. This is what they said. So just want to highlight 2 things here. Firstly, internet job boards at the bottom of this donut chart accounts for only 11% of high-performing care workers, yet was also for this group of participating managers often the most relied on recruitment source. Secondly, employee referral, as well as word of mouth, accounted for 50% of all high-performing care workers. I know you're probably already busy, but as homework and after this session, perhaps you can think about your best performing care workers and which recruitment source found them. Broader research across several sectors and industries confirms that online job boards have traditionally delivered the numbers, but not the quality of candidates required, with on average 46 applicants needed for just 1 hire, and only 22% of these hires making it through their first year on the job. If you compare this to employee referral, which for most organizations provides only a small number of candidates, yet the quality of these applicants is much higher, with retention rates double and sometimes even triple that of new employees sourced via online job boards. Did you know that there are many recruitment sources to find candidates from? And I've just listed some of the obvious ones here, and they can roughly be divided into active job seekers in yellow and your passive job seekers colored in green. And of course, we can discuss whether or not some of are active and passive, but this is just a quick breakdown between the 2. And to put these in some order, let's organize them by volume of applicants on the y-axis and suitability of applicants on the x-axis. This then gives us this snazzy matrix with 4 boxes in which we can organize our sourcing channels from worst to great, with on the left-hand side sources that often give poor quality candidates, and on the right-hand sources showing better quality candidates. The bottom boxes will show lower volume sources, and the upper boxes will reveal higher volume sources. This then makes the bottom left box the worst box of sources with poorer fit candidates and in lower volumes, and the top right box is the best source, one with high volume sources of good fit candidates. And the way these sources are sorted is based on feedback from hiring managers and recruiters from the healthcare and social assistance sector. So this information is very targeted and relevant. Let's start with the bad news first. In the worst box, we can find sources such as direct mail, radio ads, and job fairs. This is not only because of the lower volume and poorer fit candidates, the cost in time and effort associated with these channels can often also be quite high. The next box shows a higher volume of applicants, yet still with a poorer suitability. This is where your internet job boards are located. These channels just mean a lot of work for your recruiters as they require a solid screening process. Now moving to more fruitful recruitment sources, this box shows you better suitable candidates, but in lower volumes, including your student nurses, community outreach, and employee referral. But you're probably wondering, what are the great sources of candidates for care roles? And at this point, it's quite disappointing. It's just migrants, which includes those already living in Australia as ones still living abroad, although that comes with its own challenges and additional costs. Please note that the research behind this table took place before we modernized the way providers do employee referral. Because when running a proper employee referral program, and I'll go into more detail later, I would actually argue that this source should move into the grey box based on results that I have seen in the sector. Another thing that I'm wondering, if you notice that most sources of active job seekers, colored yellow, are in the left side of this matrix, yet your passive job seekers appear to be of higher quality, yet often come in smaller volumes. And many recruitment sources in the good section of the matrix are linked to your organization in some way. These are your in-house networks. They're now highlighted in a brighter green. And although these sources are often readily accessible, they can be underutilized. I think it was about 30 years ago that about 85% of all care staff were sourced via your in-house networks before internet job boards lured recruiters in their direction. So I want to take you through these sources of your own in-house networks, and we'll start with your good leavers. So your good leavers or your alumni are past employees who have left your business and you were sorry to see them go. They would have been marked with a yes to the question if you would rehire them. It's a mistake to write them off the moment their resignation pops into your inbox. People leave for all kinds of reasons, and often the grass is not greener next door. In tests in the US care market, up to 30% of good leavers returned within 6 months when they were regularly contacted by their manager and told that they were missed. So how can we leverage this channel? Firstly, make sure you do capture the reason of leaving during the exit interview, and to mark any leavers if you would consider rehiring them. You don't want to reach out to the wrong people. Also ask for permission to stay in touch. Then set up a system to keep in touch with those good leavers after they have resigned, and go back through your personnel records and reach out to past talent that has since left. The most effective message focuses on the relationship the staff member had with their clients or residents. Then reach out a couple of weeks after they've left, and then again 2 months later. A text message, a phone call, or a postcard home works best, but an email is okay too, although a bit less personal. So the benefits of this channel is that rejoiners are a known entity and easily integrate back into the job. It also sends a positive message to your current staff. There's some downsides though, that some returners will leave again after a short period, especially if there was an underlying relationship conflict that has not been resolved. So on the recruitment sources matrix, the good leavers would be summarized with low on volume and cost, average on effort required with high quality candidates. So the next in-house source that I want to highlight is referrals from applicants and referees. Because most of your recruiters, and if you're a recruiter, you will probably spend a lot of time talking to applicants and referees. This is a great opportunity to ask applicants who you deem suitable if they can think of similar friends who might be interested in joining. Along these lines, some organizations also ask the referees if they would be interested in a job at their company. Some digital solutions allow for this question to be added to the reference checks forms. So how can we leverage this? Ask suitable applicants during the recruitment process if they know anyone else. You can even add this question to the job application form and then refer back to it if you deemed the candidate suitable. Most applicants will be eager to please during the recruitment process. And as for reference checks, you never know who might be open for a change, and you can easily add these general expressions of interest to your talent pool. So the benefit is that it's super simple to implement. It has often zero cost, and it maximizes return from your existing recruitment. Downside is that it's probably going to be a small volume, and the quality is likely to be weaker than direct employee referrals, for example, as the applicant is not quite familiar yet with your organization and the requirements of the role. So on the recruitment sources matrix, the applicant and referee referrals would be summarized like this: low on volume and cost, low to medium on effort required with medium quality candidates. In line with applicant referrals are those candidates who reject your job, offer. So recruiters often deal with candidates who have applied for several positions at the same time, especially in care. This can lead to interview no-shows, ghosting, and rejected job offers. It is very natural to write off a candidate who rejects your job offer, but they may choose a competitor and later come to regret it. So if they are kind enough to call you to reject your job offer, tell them that you will keep the door open. You can also email them, but then diarize to call or text them after 2 weeks and again at 2 and 6 months to see how they are tracking. At worst, you'll be seen as a caring employer. So the benefit is that it's a high applicant quality as you have done all the pre-screening and have made that job offer. It also adds a positive touch to your employer branding, and it maximizes return from your existing recruitment. The downside is that it may be difficult to overcome the annoyance of being rejected the first time around, and it also may indicate that the candidate is a time waster or lacks commitment. So on the recruitment sourcing matrix, this source can be summarized as being low on volume and cost, low to medium on effort required with good to high quality candidates. So the next source in your in-house network are your family referrals, and you might already reach out to them, but if your organization is providing high quality care to consumers for several years, then you will have built up a tremendous amount of goodwill with their families. It only makes sense to approach them to see if they would know anyone who might make a suitable care worker. Many of your families live within commutable distance to your service, and they will have a local network to tap into. So how to easily do this? You do not want to look desperate, firstly, so it is recommended to give this some thought and careful wording, and to use your preferred communication channels to talk with families. You could also choose to reward families for referrals if possible. So in the US, some care providers offer discounts of fees or free care hours for successful family referrals, but a simple handwritten thank you postcard for a successful referral goes a long way as well. So the benefit is that families do know what good care is, and they will be careful to only recommend suitable candidates. Also, goodwill means that they are likely to look on your behalf. There's some downsides, is mainly around that conflict of interest. So where a new employee who was referred by a family member has a close connection to the client or resident related to that family member, it may be best that they not directly care for that person. So on the recruitment sourcing matrix, the family referrals would be summarized low on volume and cost, average high on effort required with high quality candidates. For the next in-house network source, we'll have a quick look at your broader stakeholders network, and this includes your trustees or board members, other care providers you might work with, accountants, taxi firms, local suppliers, consultants, visiting healthcare professionals, and training organizations, to name a few. So first, you can revisit your visitors book or your supplier list to build a database of people or organizations that regularly interact with your company. Suppliers would be absolutely keen to help you out. Then all you need to do is contact them to ask if they would know someone who would like to work with you. So the benefits is that it will actually tap into networks you may not have thought of, and stakeholders often know your organization well and are likely to screen on your behalf and only suggest suitable candidates. The downside is that it's probably just a trickle of candidates, and it could mean that you're asking favors of people you may not know personally. So on the matrix, this source has a low cost associated with it, with medium effort, but with a low volume of good quality candidates. And now I actually want to get into the source of real recruitment gold, and that's your employee referral. So as mentioned at the start of this webinar, employee referral is regarded as one of the best sources of high quality candidates. There is a lot of research out there which all seems to agree on this claim, including our own research specifically for care workers, which you saw earlier. Before we dive further into employee referral and the do's and don'ts, it is important to keep in mind that only happy employees refer. If you have already worked hard to get referrals and they still don't come, then it's quite likely that you have a much bigger problem on your hands. If this sounds familiar, then it's better to fix any internal issues first. Perhaps start with doing an internal survey about staff engagement and any causes of dissatisfaction. Employee referral doesn't work if the culture at your organization is poor. But if you're confident that your staff are happy and you don't have an employee referral program in place, or the one you do have isn't quite delivering, then stick with me as I'll go into a little bit more detail here. So firstly, let's summarize the how. And I will go into more detail for each of these points later. So firstly, get buy-in from your stakeholders and the execs, make it simple and remove hidden handbrakes. Then choose an attractive reward and pay promptly. Launch with fanfare and keep the program top of mind. Then treat referrals as VIPs and thank referrers. So the benefits of an employee referral program is that it's a proven high quality and ongoing source of candidates with the potential to access significant new pools of candidates that are inaccessible by other methods. Also, when friends of employees join, it usually means that both stay longer, and we're seeing excellent retention rates with our clients. Spend on this channel goes to your own employees, not a third-party media company. So the downside is that it does require regular marketing and administration to keep top of mind with staff. Family members can sometimes be problematic and rejections need handling sensitively. So let's have a quick look at those 4 key components of a successful employee referral program, starting with the reward. It needs to be attractive. You could ask your staff what kind of reward they would value the most. Our internal research found that care workers prefer cold hard cash paid out via payroll, despite the fact that it is then subject to income tax. On average, our clients have a referral reward of $300 broken down in smaller chunks, but you can adapt this to your budget. Just keep in mind that this is money going back to your employees and it is an internal investment. Give the reward close to the desired action, which is sharing jobs. Most referral programs do not reward the referring employee until their referred friend finishes probation. This takes the reward miles away from the actual action that you want to promote, which is sharing jobs. So ideally, you would break down the total referral reward into smaller chunks that increase in size the further the referral makes it into the recruitment process. But if you're running a manual program, this is probably too tricky to incorporate this type of reward psychology. There is referral software available that does allow for these types of micro rewards. At the least, it is recommended to reward the referring employee when their referred friend starts work, and also reward them when their referring friend makes it past probation as a retention bonus. Another option is to tier the rewards. You can offer bigger rewards to employees who refer more than one new starter in a certain time frame, perhaps 1.5 times the normal referral reward. You can also use different rewards for different job types. For those really hard to fill roles, you can choose to use a larger reward than for easier to fill jobs. Definitely pay promptly. If your referral policy states that there is a reward when the new referred employee starts work, ensure that the reward is actually paid out around that same time as well. The last thing you want is for your employees to be contacting your recruiters asking where the reward is. They know their friend has started a job. So quickly having a look at the program itself. So important to have buy-in from the execs or the boss. Even better, get your CEO to record a video introducing the program to employees. And nowadays with phones, it's so simple to do that. Also make it simple for employees to refer. Have your active jobs easily accessible either via your internet or an app. Consider which communication channels your frontline staff use. Many don't have access to a computer or a laptop, so how can you easily give them access to your vacancies and make sharing simple? It's better to not ask your staff to complete a huge form to make a referral, but do allow your employees to share vacancies directly with their friends, and they can then decide and register their own interest. Remove hidden handbrakes, and this is mainly around fear of referring. So staff could be fearful of making recommendations as they might think that they will lose hours or shifts. This has been the case with some home care providers, as employees appeared hesitant to refer friends who live nearby, fearing that they will have to share their clients. Reassure them that their shifts and hours will be protected. Also make it simple for recruiters. It's best to not require them to keep track of referrals on a spreadsheet. Some recruitment systems have a referral module in place. However, this may only be targeted to help the recruiter and not your employees. There are dedicated apps and software available that make a referral program super simple to manage for recruiters, but also easy access for employees. The investment is worth it. Make sure the jobs that you make available are actual vacancies. It can be very disappointing when a referred friend expresses interest in a job and then only to hear that there's no active vacancy and this job was just for general expressions of interest only. Keep those jobs fresh and actual. Actually, there's no need to limit your referral program to employees only. With some adaptations, you can also use a referral program to tap into other in-house networks such as your clients, their families, your volunteer base, and stakeholders. You can also use your referral program to recruit volunteers or trainees. See how far you can leverage your own network. Then we have a look at the launch and ongoing engagement. So if you can launch big, it's not enough to launch your employee referral program with a mentioning in the company newsletter or an email. Use all your channels, your text messages, email, newsletter, posters, team meetings, social media, payslip add-ons, flyers, and postcards. If you have a communication person in a business, they need to become your best friend and partner for this program. There are so many ways to reach your employees, and you will need to use several channels to get the message across. It's recommended to also use a launch incentive, such as a big prize for the first referral or double the referral rewards for the first 3 months. You want to create some buzz and urgency. The goal is to get employees talking about referral and get into the habit of referring. So keep it top of mind and regularly remind employees about your referral program. Share good news stories and introduce new competitions and rewards. Make sure that new starters are fully aware of the program. You could even mention it during the recruitment process, but definitely add some information about the program to your new starter induction pack, as each new employee will bring a whole network of potential colleagues. Thank referrers with feelings, and if possible, have your CEO or owner or exec call every referrer to thank them for their help finding another team member. This, of course, might not work in large organizations, but you get the gist. Public praise can work well, but may also embarrass certain employees, so this will need some caution. Active manage the scheme, because behind every successful employee referral scheme, there's an enthusiastic administrator who drives it. Timely updates are key here. So the last part of this detailed part for employee referral is the screening process. And it is a separate topic, as referrals are often passive candidates, yet many organizations treat them as active job applicants, which can have negative outcomes. So you've got to be respectful, as your employees are putting their reputation at risk with both you and their friend or contact. It's best not to treat these applicants in the same way as you would treat those coming via online job boards. In many cases, the referred person would like an informal chat about the job first. If you show respect at this step, then the employee who referred their friend will feel more loyal to you. It's also best to not ask for a resume yet. Because referrals are often passive job seekers, they might not have an up-to-date resume at hand, and we see this a lot in the care sector. Although a resume is the currency of online job boards, we think that a phone call is the currency of referrals. Build a relationship first, then ask for a resume if you must. Text, call, then email. So the text is a quick way to thank them for expressing interest and that you would like to give them a call for a quick chat about the job. This also allows you to suggest a couple of dates to which the candidate can easily reply. The quick phone chat helps to establish the motivation of the candidate, how they know the person who referred them, and gives them the opportunity to ask questions in an informal setting. A formal interview can follow later, to which you can invite them via email with more instructions. This would also be a good time to ask for a resume if you establish that the candidate would be eligible and generally suitable for the job. Keep communicating. If you do decide to not hire a referral, the referring employee deserves to know the reasons and be encouraged to keep on referring. The more employees feel part of the process, the more successful the scheme will be. So if we were to map employee referral on the recruitment sourcing mix, we can see that a manual referral scheme, or one managed through your ATS that does not have an employee app or module, would result in an excellent quality of candidates with an average effort at a low cost. Unfortunately, volume is likely to stay low as well, especially for frontline care candidates, as it's more difficult to reach employees to notify them of vacancies and making it simple to share jobs. But if you're able to invest in dedicated referral software on an employee app, you'll see that you're still getting the same excellent quality candidates in higher volumes at less effort. The cost will be higher though, as the software will come with a price tag, but based on experience, the investment is worth it with huge ROI. So leveraging your in-house networks is one step to diversify your recruitment sourcing mix. I've discussed several sources readily available to you, including good leavers, family referrals, referrals from applicants and referees, candidates who rejected your job offer, your broader stakeholder network and supplier network, and lastly, employee referral. So that's it for me. I hope the AI images didn't freak you out too much and that you've gained some ideas to diversify your recruitment sourcing mix. And before I go, if you were wondering about my accent, I'm originally from the Netherlands. It's a Dutch accent and I can't seem to shake it. I'll stop sharing now. Shoot, any questions?
Yeah, any questions, anybody? Just type them into the Q&A box. But that was fantastic. I've actually made some notes here, so that we'll use as part of our story update, because we'll have the video of today's session on the website for people to reference. But what I liked about today, Marlene, was the fact that virtually all the suggestions you have really lend themselves to improving company culture, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the general atmosphere in a business, which is ultimately why people want to work there. If you want to be seen as an employer of choice, then you have to do something a bit different. And I think this is part of it. This is all part of the secret sauce that would go into creating an employer of choice environment. And then I can only imagine that that would lend itself to just more and more referrals where people say, hey, yeah, this is a great place to work. You should check it out. And I think we all know, with the employers that are on the line here, that I think in aged care, and when we hear this a lot, it's fast becoming a competitive environment where staff are being poached from elsewhere, and it is going to become a race where only the good employers can actually retain good staff. I think, yeah. So thanks very much, Marlene. That's been fantastic, and I'm so pleased for our first 100% focused recruitment session that we've had such an instructional session, so people can literally take all these ideas and put them into practice today.
And
so,
at a low cost or no cost.
at a low cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I know we try to keep today to half an hour. We're sort of bang on that half an hour. So thanks very much. And as I said to everybody earlier, we'll have the recording that you can all reference and go back on and share that with your colleagues and senior managers. I think, as you said, get the buy-in of the boss and other executives.
Thanks, Sean.
So we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.